in studio with us right now, walking in. What's up, guys?
A very large gentleman right here. We have with us Daniel Cormier and Francis Ngannou. They are Francis Ngannou, a very large gentleman. They are in studio with us. They will be fighting this Friday over at the TD.
No, they're not fighting then. That's
different matches.
Yeah, you're talking about January 20th. That's the big. Yeah, UFC
What?
220. Yeah.
It says Friday, December 15th, right here.
Where is it? The tickets on sale Friday, December 15th.
All right. Well, then what the hell are they here for?
Just to see us. Just to see us. That's why they're here.
Tickets to this situation going on January 20th.
The card is stacked.
It's a big card. It's and the tickets go on sale this Friday at Ticketmaster.com. Shows you how prepared I am for this whole situation. Daniel Cormier with the UFC belt right in front of you. How much does that sumbitch weigh?
It's about 12, 13 pounds is what the belt weighs.
Now, do you pack that in a suitcase?
I don't carry it. There's a gentleman named Chris. He's the UFC's PR manager, and he brings it. He lugs it all over the place. So this is kind of one that travels with everybody.
So this is like they have a guy kind of like who travels with the Stanley Cup. There's somebody whose whole assignment is to bring that around,
he
right?
Polishes it. Also, it's actually kind of embarrassing, right? So like you're walking through the airport with this thing, and then people are like, "What? Are you in the WWE? Are you in the WWE?
You're not John Cena.
You're no John Cena."
Yeah, because it's not getting through the metal detector.
Right. And then you got to take that thing out, and then it's embarrassing, and they're like, can you beat John Cena?
You say that, well, I have to read the script. I don't know yet if I can beat John Cena.
Well, this is going to be, I mean, honestly, once again, 2 title fights, UFC 220, and maybe it's just because Dana White loves his hometown, but he definitely lined up a great evening. Now, one of our friends who we've had on the show several times is Joe Rogan, and obviously he does a lot with you guys, and he's always interviewing you guys before and after. And one thing that he did recently that he got a little bit of, there was a little bit of news about, was after your fight with John Jones. Was that 214? Was that the one? Okay.
Yes.
He interviewed you and got a lot of guff because at the time you had suffered a concussion. And I think that it was his own... It's not a good look when you go up and you try to interview somebody when they have a concussion. What do you remember about after that fight?
I didn't remember much, but the issue is this. Like, Joe got he got a lot of flack for it. But the reality is I didn't have much of an issue with it. Okay. I mean, he just was doing his job, and I would probably do the same thing in that situation as I'm doing color work now too. But I understand people saw that I was upset, and I think that's why it was received in the way that it was. But I didn't see no problem with it because once I went back and finally watched the interview, nothing really happened, outside of some tears. But I mean, anytime something means that much to you, you should feel that way. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
Do you remember any of that? Like,
I feel like after that fight, I lost some time. I don't recall. I remember being in the locker room and kind of coming to. My wife was telling me I had to go to the doctor, and I was like, I'm not going to the fucking doctor. Yeah. But it was weird. That's the first time I've ever experienced anything like that.
What's it like watching yourself? Like, I don't remember this happening at all.
I haven't really watched it. I haven't really watched a fight.
Yeah.
I just was like, dang, I was really, really upset. That's kind of what stuck with me. And I think that when I was watching it, I saw in myself at that moment the 15-year-old kid that lost in the World Championships in his age level. I saw the 22-year-old kid that lost in the NCAA finals. I saw the kid that lost in the Olympic semifinals. It was the same reaction.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time. For guys like me, losses don't leave, right?
Yeah.
I still have dreams about all those losses because they don't go anywhere, and they serve to motivate me as I move forward. So I just saw the same guy. I saw a guy that it just meant that much to, and it didn't work out.
Now, the John Jones situation with him once again getting pinched for doping, I mean, you're kind of in a strange spot because you benefited
It's been like that time and time again.
It has
right?
been, right? It's the same old song and dance. But how do you got to have mixed emotions about that? I would think
this one was tough because I was there, you know. So for everyone to
you're
say,
on the other end of someone doping and fighting you.
Yeah, but I was there, you know. Like I know. I was there on July 29th. I know the result of the fight, and I know who I am.
Yeah.
So for me, it's hard to just kind of wash things away.
Sure.
So my whole deal is, as I move into this Volkan Ozdemir fight, I feel like there's a stench. Like there's a stench that I carry around with me until I can go and do what I've done every other time in my career, and that's win a fight. So, that's where I'm at right now in terms of that whole John Jones thing, you know. And it's just sad because for having done so much for another person to be able to tear down your career as much as he has kind of sucks.
Yeah, sure. It's awful. And now you got a guy who got in trouble in a bar fight. So last week when the news broke about that?
No, it was a little bit longer. It was a little bit longer. I think that
it seems like all of your opponents seem to have something screwy going on.
So like like when you look at girls like Megan Fox, and she's like with Brian Austin Green, and it's like, what are you doing with him? Like,
whoa! That's news to me.
Whoa! You're talking to some 90210 fans.
But now we got to not like Brian Austin Green. He's a honk.
So then you look at all these guys.
My man's a honk.
Yeah. You're like the girl. You're like the girl at the prom, right? And it's like you just attract these bad dudes, and it's like, what am I doing? What am I putting out to attract these type of men?
Guys are right.
I don't know.
Everyone's got issues
to attract these types of dudes.
Okay, so Francis Ngannou's here in studio, and you are a very intimidating gentleman. Really? Yeah. But one of the most interesting things about your story is, first of all, that you haven't been doing this that long. I mean, it's what, 2014? Is that when you first started?
2013.
Okay. You were homeless at one point, right? In France?
Yes.
How do you go from homeless? First of all, how do you make the transfer from being homeless? Because I know most people who are homeless, they give up hope. And it seems to kind of, I guess, breed even more hopelessness when you're in that point. What made you be able to turn that corner and say, I'm going to dedicate my life to being a fighter?
My case was different because being a homeless in Paris, for me, I not saw the situation like homeless. I saw myself like the first time in my life that I had an opportunity. And because I went in Paris, that was in June, yes, June 2013. And that was my first time in Paris. And I didn't know no one in Paris. And I just went there to find my life, to find my opportunity. And I always dream about boxing. I went there, and the next day I just found some boxing gym. And I go there, and I went there and just tell them, I don't have no money, I don't have nowhere to sleep, but the only thing that I want to you is to help me, to allow me to train to your gym, because I'm gonna become the world champion.
So did somebody at that gym? Because were you sleeping on the street at that point?
Yes.
Okay, so did somebody at the gym say, well, obviously this man is a specimen and he can hit, but he's probably raw. Probably haven't taught you properly how to fight yet. Did they say, I see a ton of potential, and did somebody take you in and put you up and give you a place to live?
No, right away.
So you're still sleeping on the street while you were training?
Yes, because that was for boxing. And then when I started training with them, they saw me how I train, and they was like, you are a good dude, man. You have a good potential, and you may try some sport like MMA. And that's the first time I hear the word MMA. And I was like, what is that? He said, mixed martial art. I said, okay, MMA, mixed martial art, but what is mixed martial art?
So how do you get the first page? I mean, how did you first afford? How did you get off the street? Like, who paid you? Was it because of your boxing?
No, some of the guy that I met the first day, after like 3 months, when you meet someone, you don't know who is it. So he took time to know me, to know who I am, and then after like 3 months, he gave me like some apartment for, yes. So I stay in the apartment for for 2 months, and between the time, some guy in the gym bring me to the nightclub. I worked there like a bouncer. So after 2 months, I collect a little bit of money and start pay some home for someone apartment, but keep training. And that is at the time I started MMA.
Anyone pick fights with you when you were a bouncer at one of these bars? Some guy get 10 feet tall and bulletproof?
No, because I was
just look at you.
Yeah, it's France.
6'4",
It's France. They just laid on their back.
Right.
There are always some guy who want to try to test you, but I was just here to work my money. You know, I focus on something. I know why I'm here. I'm there.
Yeah.
And then I did what I have. I do what I have to do, and then leave. I just say, don't bring yourself in that game.
Okay, so
Can you tell me about the first time you knocked somebody out in the ring? Like the first time that you knew you're a bad man.
I think every time when you knock somebody out, you feel like you're like a bad man.
And it's happened a lot with you, has it not?
Yes.
All right, is it true, because this sounds like some Rocky IV stuff, that they measure your punching power? Is that something that's true?
Yes.
Okay, because this is exactly like Rocky IV. I know you're probably not unfamiliar with it.
The numbers go by and they're bigger than everyone else's.
Right. No, Drago had the ability to do this. So how do they do that? And how do they measure? Is it an arcade machine where you hit the?
Yes, they have some punching machine at the UFC, and then he collect information. He have a captor, and then when you hit it, he collect the information.
That is directly from Rocky IV.
He hits it, and then nobody else is willing to even do it because it's embarrassing. They're like, hey, DC, you're next. I'm like,
Did you have to
do
do
pass?
Did you have to do that?
Hurt my hand in training. Can't help it.
Yeah, my hands are hurting. No, I'm good.
Because it sounds like something they might have just invented.
Yeah, they're like, wow, Francis hits really hard. We should do this now. How hard he actually hits.